My name is Michelle. I'm 30 years old, and I never thought the people who raised me would betray me. It was a normal Tuesday morning at my tech startup in Wichita when I got a message that turned my world upside down. We're vacationing in Miami with your sister's family. We emptied the joint account. Ha ha. Those words from my parents burned into my mind. Their casual cruelty hurt more than I could imagine. I didn't let my hands shake as I typed back, "Good luck." On the outside, I stayed calm, smiling while serving coffee to a client. But inside, my thoughts were racing. That account wasn't just money. It held years of savings, long nights coding, sleepless work, and sacrifices to keep our startup alive, all meant for the family home. They thought they were clever, flying off to Miami in luxury while mocking me. But they didn't know I had been quietly tracking their secret moves, their whispered plans, their arrogance. I wasn't the naive daughter they once knew. I had a plan, carefully built, and soon they would see how far I'd go to protect what was mine. Their Miami dream was already on borrowed time, and I was ready to bring it crashing down. This isn't just my story, it's a question for you. What would you do if your parents betrayed you like this? Tell me in the comments. How would you face a betrayal that hurts this deeply? 3 months earlier, I had started to notice something strange. My startup in Wichita was growing, but the joint family account meant for our parents' house mortgage was draining faster than it should. At 30, I'd already put thousands into it, working late nights, pitching investors, skipping vacations to keep my app running. My dad kept asking for more money, saying house payments were tight. I trusted him, or at least I wanted to, but his calls became too frequent and his tone too harsh, like I owed him for being alive. One evening, while checking the account, I found a $5,000 charge for a travel agency. I froze. The mortgage wasn't due yet, and I hadn't approved any trip. Looking deeper, I found hotel bookings in Miami, first-class flights, and a luxury car rental. My stomach twisted when I saw the charges were linked to my mom's card. She never mentioned a vacation. Neither did my sister. I opened my banking app again and saw the balance dropping every week for no reason. I began saving screenshots of every transaction and withdrawal. Then a cousin told me she overheard my mom bragging. The next day, I opened a new account at a different bank and moved my startup profits there. I called a lawyer I'd met at a networking event, a sharp woman who handled financial disputes. "Can you protect my assets if my family is misusing our joint account?" I asked, trying to sound calm though my heart was racing. She didn't hesitate. "Absolutely. Start documenting everything." Over coffee at my office, I showed her the evidence, screenshots, bank statements, chat logs. She nodded, taking notes. "This is strong," she said. "We can file to freeze the account if they take more." For the first time in months, I felt in control. My parents had always favored my sister. Her wedding, her house, her perfect life. I was the one paying bills while they praised her. Not anymore. Back at my apartment, I dug deeper and found another transaction, a payment for a Miami beachfront condo rental. I checked the chat again. My mom had written, "This will be the trip of a lifetime, just us and your family." No mention of me, no invite, no thanks for the money I'd sent them. I printed everything, my hands steady. Each night, I backed up the evidence to a secure drive, knowing I'd need it soon. One afternoon, my dad called again, his voice smug. "Michelle, we need another $2,000 for the house," he said like it was normal. I pretended to agree, saying I'd check my funds, but I was done being their ATM. My lawyer had already written a letter demanding full transparency on the account. I mailed it anonymously so they'd get it and think twice before touching another cent. Sitting in my office, staring at the growing stack of proof, I realized this wasn't just about money, it was about respect, or their lack of it. My parents thought they could use me, throw me aside, and laugh about it. And my sister? She was part of it too, enjoying their favoritism. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. They had underestimated me, but I was ready. The account was still active, but not for long. I would make sure of that. The next morning, my phone lit up with messages from my mom, Ruth. "Michelle, you're too busy with your little app to understand real finances," she wrote, her words full of arrogance. "Leave the account to us." I stared at the screen, my coffee going cold on my desk. Her smug tone wasn't new, but this time it felt different, like a challenge I was ready to take on. I didn't reply. Instead, I logged into the bank's website and found the credit card linked to our joint account, the same one they had used for their Miami bookings. With a few clicks, I reported it as compromised and canceled it, cutting off their access to flights and hotels. By noon, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was my dad, Thomas, furious. "What did you do? We're stuck at the airport." I could picture him pacing, his voice echoing through the terminal. I stayed silent, letting their panic sink in. Back at my office in Wichita, I called my lawyer. "They're using the account for personal trips," I said, forwarding Ruth's latest message. "Can we move forward?" She was already on it, drafting legal papers to sue for misuse of funds. "We'll demand a full audit," she said firmly. I sent her all the screenshots, every transaction, every message showing their betrayal. The joint account was meant to support the family home, not their luxury vacation. My lawyer warned things could get messy, but I didn't care. They had crossed a line, and I wasn't backing down. Around 3 p.m., Holly called, her voice sharp and angry. "Michelle, how dare you ruin our trip?" she shouted, saying my name like it disgusted her. I gripped my phone, keeping calm. "Holly, you knew they took my money." She laughed bitterly, claiming it was family funds they had the right to use. I didn't argue. I had already asked the bank to freeze the account to stop any more withdrawals. The manager, Mrs. Davis, confirmed it would take effect by evening, leaving Thomas and Ruth stranded with no way to book new flights. Holly ended the call calling me selfish, but I heard the fear in her voice. Good. They were finally facing the results of their choices. That afternoon, I spent hours organizing evidence, printing bank statements and Ruth's texts. My lawyer called back saying the court could set an emergency hearing within days. "You've got a solid case," she said, pointing out the clear proof. I nodded, feeling my determination harden. Ruth's texts kept coming, each one crueler, mocking my work and my dedication to my startup. "You'll never keep up with us," she wrote. I saved that message too, adding it to my growing pile of evidence. Their arrogance only pushed me to act faster. By evening, I got a call from a family friend who had heard about the airport drama. Thomas had tried to book a hotel with his personal card, but it was declined because of their overspending. I didn't smile, but I felt calm satisfaction. My parents thought they could trick me, use my savings for their fun. Holly thought she could enjoy it all and still look innocent. But I had turned the tables. The bank freeze was only the beginning. My lawyer was preparing a formal complaint listing every unauthorized withdrawal. I sat at my desk, looking at the pile of documents, my heart steady. They had underestimated me, but the court would make things right. Their dream vacation was falling apart, and I was just getting started. By noon, Holly's husband, Robert, called me, his voice full of anger. "Michelle, you've gone too far," he barked, not letting me speak. "You're ruining our family vacation." I leaned back in my office chair in Wichita, my laptop open with new client contracts. His shouting didn't bother me. I had already seen Holly's new social media post, a picture of her holding a cocktail on a Miami balcony with the caption, "Living our best life. No thanks to haters." It had plenty of likes, but some comments asked where the money came from. I smirked, knowing the truth was about to surface. I spoke calmly. "Robert, you know that money was for the family house, not your trip." He stuttered, claiming it was shared money for everyone's use. Then Holly's voice came through the speaker, high and sharp. "Michelle, you're just jealous of our happiness," she yelled, spitting my name like poison. I didn't flinch. Holly, I have proof your parents took my savings without permission, I said slowly. Then I emailed her a screenshot of Ruth's message bragging about the Miami trip. There was silence. Then Holly muttered, "That's not what it looks like." But her shaky voice said otherwise. She knew they were caught. By evening, the story had spread. A coworker who overheard my call told a friend, who shared it in a local Witcha group chat. Soon, I started getting messages from old classmates and neighbors. "Is it true your parents emptied your account?" one asked. Another wrote, "You don't deserve this, Michelle." I didn't reply, but the support I got felt like protection. A family friend texted me saying she saw Holly's post and thought it was inappropriate, given what had happened. The situation was turning in my favor, and I hadn't even said anything publicly. I focused on my startup instead. A big client, Mrs. Carter, had just signed a deal to use my app for her bakery orders. She called that afternoon, excited about the demo I had sent. "This is going to save us thousands," she said warmly. I smiled, writing down her feedback while checking my email. Another client wanted a meeting after being impressed by my presentation at a tech fair. My company was growing despite all the family drama. I worked late, fixing code and replying to emails, determined to stay focused on my business. But Holly didn't stop. That night, she posted another photo, a sunset over the ocean, with a caption about family staying strong together. I looked through the comments and saw one from someone we both knew. "Didn't you use your sister's money for this?" Holly's reply was unclear, saying it was just a misunderstanding. I took a screenshot and added it to my evidence folder. My lawyer had told me to save everything, and I wasn't taking any risks. I emailed her the new post with a note saying, "They're still at it." She replied quickly, saying it would make our case even stronger for the upcoming hearing. The next morning, a neighbor stopped by my office with coffee. She said she'd heard about the Miami situation through friends. "People are talking," she said, shaking her head. "Your parents always bragged about Holly's perfect life, but this is low." I nodded, keeping my thoughts to myself. The community gossip was spreading, and I knew Thomas and Ruth were starting to feel the pressure. Later, a cousin texted to ask if I was okay, saying Holly had called her, trying to twist the story. I didn't answer, but I could feel the momentum shifting. My parents and Holly had tried to make me look like the bad one, but the truth was coming out. I kept working, signing another client by noon, a local gym that wanted my app to manage memberships. My team was excited and full of energy, unaware of the family chaos behind the scenes. I sat at my desk, staring at Holly's latest post, her smug smile pushing me to focus even more. They thought they could shame me into silence, but I was building something far bigger than their lies. The community's support helped, but my real strength came from knowing I had outsmarted them. The court hearing was just a few days away, and I was ready to expose everything. That evening, I met my best friend, Wendy, at a diner to clear my head. The neon lights hummed softly as we sat in a booth, and I told her everything: Holly's accusations, Robert's angry call, and the gossip spreading around town. Wendy leaned forward, her eyes fierce. "Michelle, you're stronger than they think," she said, squeezing my hand. "Don't let them pull you down." Her words felt like a lifeline. I had been carrying this pain alone, but Wendy reminded me I wasn't. She pushed a plate of fries toward me, insisting I eat. "You're going to win this," she added, her voice steady. I nodded, feeling a spark of determination return. Later that night, my phone rang. It was my Aunt Patricia, Ruth's younger sister. "Michelle, what's this about you causing problems for Ruth?" she asked, her tone sharp but cautious. I took a deep breath and forwarded her the screenshot from the group chat. Ruth planning the Miami trip with Holly, laughing about using my money. There was a long pause. "I didn't know," Patricia finally said, her voice softer now. "Ruth told me it was all agreed upon." I could hear her beginning to doubt the story. "Pat, they took thousands from the house fund," I said calmly. She promised to talk to Ruth, but I could tell she was starting to see the truth. The next day, my startup was buzzing with good news. Mrs. Carter, the bakery owner, emailed to say her customers loved the new app features. "You're amazing, Michelle," she wrote, attaching a new contract for 2 more bakery locations. Word of my family drama had spread through Wichita, but instead of hurting me, it was helping. A local news blog shared my story, calling me an underdog entrepreneur standing up against family greed. New clients called in after reading it, and my revenue jumped by 10% overnight. I spent the morning training my team, thrilled but focused, determined to keep our success going. After work, I scrolled through Holly's social media again. She had posted a video from Miami, a beach montage with her and her kids, captioned, "Family first always." The comments were mixed. Some people praised her, but others, including an old neighbor, wrote, "Hope you didn't pay for this with your sister's money." I saved the video and comments, emailing them to my lawyer. Every post was another piece of proof showing Holly's arrogance while my savings paid for her luxury trip. I even found an older post, a photo of her and Ruth shopping for beachwear weeks before the trip. I archived it, my jaw tight, knowing it connected them directly to the stolen funds. Later, Wendy texted me to check in. "You okay?" she wrote. I sent back a thumbs up, grateful for her support. She had always seen through my family's favoritism toward Holly. That night, I worked late, organizing my evidence, screenshots, bank records, and now, Holly's social media posts, everything I'd need for the hearing ahead. My lawyer emailed me saying the new social media proof made our case even stronger. "They're ruining themselves," she wrote. I felt calm and confident. The hearing was close, and I was ready to face them in court. The next morning, the barista at my regular coffee shop handed me a free latte. "I heard what's happening," she whispered. "You've got this." I smiled, touched by her kindness. More people were showing support. Old friends texted, local business owners sent emails, and even my high school coach wrote to me. They no longer saw me as the family's scapegoat. That same day, Patricia called again, her tone soft and serious. "I talked to Ruth," she said. "She won't explain the account." I didn't push, but I could tell she was starting to believe me. My parents and Holly thought they could twist the story, I said to myself, but the truth was spreading, one person at a time. On Monday morning, I walked into the Wichita courthouse with my lawyer. The air felt heavy as we stepped into the small, wood-paneled courtroom, my folder of evidence under my arm. My lawyer, sharp in her navy suit, gave me a nod. Across the room, Thomas and Ruth sat stiffly, refusing to look at me. Holly was there too, arms crossed, glaring from her seat. I took a deep breath and sat down, ready to tell the truth. My lawyer stood first, speaking clearly. "Your Honor, my client, Michelle Keller, has evidence that Thomas and Ruth Keller misused funds from a joint account meant for family property maintenance." She handed the judge a pile of documents, bank statements showing thousands withdrawn, screenshots of Ruth's texts planning the Miami trip, and Holly's social media posts showing off the vacation. I watched the judge's calm but serious face as he looked through the papers. My lawyer pointed to a message from Ruth, "We'll use the house fund. Michelle won't notice." The words echoed in my head, making the room feel smaller. Thomas stood up, his voice rough. "It was a family account," he said. "We had every right to use it for a family trip." Ruth nodded quickly, adding, "Michelle agreed to help. She's just overreacting." Their lawyer tried to defend them, saying the withdrawals were a misunderstanding. I clenched my fists under the table, holding my calm. My lawyer responded firmly, showing a signed agreement that the money was only for the family home, not personal use. The judge lifted an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. Then Holly jumped up, shouting, "Michelle's just trying to break us apart. She's always been jealous." The judge hit his gavel hard, telling her to sit. I looked at her steadily and said, "Holly, you knew they took my savings." My voice was calm but strong. The room went quiet. My lawyer handed the judge another paper, a print of Holly's beach video with her caption bragging about their family-first vacation. The judge's expression hardened as he read it, especially the comments asking where the money came from. The hearing continued, my lawyer calmly breaking down all their excuses. She showed a timeline linking every withdrawal to their Miami bookings. Thomas tried to interrupt, saying it was for the family's benefit, but the judge stopped him. Mr. Keller, the evidence says otherwise, he said firmly. Ruth's face turned pale, and Holly looked uneasy. I felt something deep and steady, not happiness, but certainty. The truth was clear now, and their lies were falling apart. After a short break, the judge came back with his decision. The evidence clearly shows misuse of funds from the joint account, he said. All assets linked to this account are frozen immediately, pending a full audit. He looked at Thomas and Ruth. You are ordered to repay $7,000 to Michelle Keller within 24 hours or face further penalties. The courtroom filled with murmurs. Holly gasped and whispered to Ruth, but I kept my eyes on the judge. His gavel came down, ending the hearing. As we walked out, Thomas muttered something angrily, but I ignored it. Ruth grabbed Holly's arm, pulling her toward their lawyer, who looked beaten. I walked out beside my lawyer, the folder in my arms feeling lighter. She patted my shoulder. You did great, Michelle, she said. This is a solid start. I nodded, already thinking about what came next. The community had stood by me, and now the court had too. Thomas and Ruth's arrogance had fallen apart, and Holly's outburst only made them look worse. The battle wasn't over, but I was ready for whatever came next. A week later, I heard whispers about my parents' troubles around town. At work, my team mentioned seeing a for sale sign on Thomas's old vintage car parked outside their home. A neighbor even sent me a photo, adding, "They're desperate." I stared at the picture quietly. Ruth had sold her diamond necklace too, according to a local jeweler. The court's $7,000 repayment order had hit them hard. Their once shiny reputation in Wichua's social circles was falling apart. Friends who used to admire their big dinners now whispered about their greed. Holly and Robert weren't doing well either. One of my clients, who worked with Robert's real estate firm, told me he'd lost a big deal. No one trusts him after the court case, she said over coffee. Holly had stopped posting online. No more perfect family pictures, no more proud captions. Everything had gone quiet. I heard from a cousin that my parents' mortgage payments were late, and their lifestyle was falling apart because of their own actions. Holly's plan to make me look like the bad one had failed, and Robert's business was suffering too. I didn't feel happy about it, but I felt calm knowing they were finally facing the results of their choices. That afternoon, Patricia called me. I was wrong about Ruth, she said, her voice filled with regret. I shouldn't have taken her side without knowing the truth. She had posted a public apology on social media, a short note admitting she had misjudged everything. I read it on my phone, surprised but relieved. Pat, I appreciate that, I replied, keeping my tone even. Her apology didn't erase the pain, but it was a small step toward fairness. People in the community noticed. Under her post, comments praised my courage, calling me an example of strength. Meanwhile, my startup was doing better than ever. A local newspaper published a story titled, "Wichita Entrepreneur Fights Family Betrayal, Builds Tech Success." The reporter had contacted me after hearing about the court case. In the interview, I talked about my company's growth, not my family drama. The article brought in a wave of new clients. Restaurants, shops, even a car dealership wanted my software. My revenue went up by another 15%, and my team worked late hours to manage the new demand. I spent my evenings training new hires, the office full of life and energy, the complete opposite of my family's downfall. One evening, I walked past Thomas and Ruth's house and noticed the dry lawn where their shiny car once stood. A neighbor waved and said, "They don't come to book club anymore." I nodded, keeping my thoughts to myself. The change in the community was clear. People who once admired my parents now supported me. A local business owner emailed to offer a partnership after reading the article. "Your determination is inspiring," he wrote. I saved the message, reminding myself that my work meant more than their betrayal ever could. Holly texted me once, a short message. "You've ruined us." I didn't reply. Her words meant nothing now, just another attempt to shift blame. I sent the message to my lawyer, who was finishing the final audit of the joint account. She had warned me that Thomas and Ruth might try tea. The next day, Patricia stopped by my office with homemade cookies. "I talked to Ruth," she said, setting the tin on my desk. "She's embarrassed but won't admit it." I thanked her politely, keeping the talk short. Her apology had already helped change how people saw things, and I didn't need more. The community's support, the newspaper feature, and my company's growth were enough. Thomas, Ruth, and Holly had thought they could outsmart me, but while their world was shrinking, mine was expanding. I was ready for whatever came next. 2 years later, I stood at the launch of my company's new app. The Wichita Convention Center buzzed with reporters, clients, and investors, all there to see our biggest milestone yet. My team had worked day and night, and now our software was powering businesses all across Kansas. I hadn't spoken to Thomas, Ruth, or Holly since the court case. I had blocked their numbers, deleted their emails, and built a life free from their betrayal. It hadn't been easy, but it was worth it. My peace mattered more than their excuses. Wichita now called my company a success story. Articles described me as a local hero, showing how I turned family betrayal into motivation. My revenue had tripled, and I had opened a second office downtown. I walked onto the stage, thanking my team, my voice steady under the bright lights. The crowd's applause washed away the past, a reminder that I had built something far greater than their lies. Thomas and Ruth were only shadows now. A cousin told me they had moved into a small apartment, their friends gone, their names rarely mentioned at family gatherings. They had sold more things to pay their debts, their pride fading away. Holly reached out once, sending a letter asking for forgiveness. "Michelle, I didn't mean to hurt you," she wrote. I read it, then put it through the shredder. Her words were too late, too empty. I had given her chances before, but she had chosen greed every time. Wendy joined me at the app launch, her excitement contagious. "We're pitching a new AI feature next month," she said with a grin, holding a glass of wine. She had become my business partner, her tech talent helping us stay ahead. That night, we stayed up late, planning our next project. Her loyalty reminded me of the kind of trust that truly matters. We didn't look back anymore. Our eyes were on the future. Looking back, I realized I had learned to protect what's mine. My money, my trust, my energy. My instincts had warned me about my family, and I wished I had listened sooner. Their betrayal had taught me to stand on my own, to build my own way without depending on those who had let me down. I had turned their chaos into my strength, and that was my real victory. Thank you for staying with my story. Share your thoughts. What would you do?